So the desired shade of our demonstration restoration was A2, and we showed how to establish the dentin and incisal colors. And so in this image we see exactly how the fully sintered restoration looks in comparison to the A2 shade guide. A lot of the saturation of color and vitality will come to life once we put the glaze on, but as we discussed, getting as close to the shade guide as possible is certainly advantageous. And when we achieve these kinds of results, then what we're looking for is a simple enhancement of the colors that are already there. So in addition, we can see that we've achieved a very nice transition between the dentin area and the incisal area. We don't have any hard straight lines that we certainly wanted to avoid. And so we've got a very good basis for beginning our stain and glaze. So when we achieve this kind of result in the shading, we're going to use a one glaze technique, which will include the glaze material and any subtle color enhancements that we may want to add, similar to what we would do when we do a full layered restoration. So now we're going to demonstrate the stain and glaze of a fully sintered zirconia restoration. So every morning when you open the glaze for the first time, we want to make sure that we remix it again very thoroughly. It takes about 20, maybe 30 seconds, making sure that the material is at optimal consistency. And I do this every morning when I open the jar again, and again after lunch before I begin staining and glazing restorations in the afternoon. So again, just making sure that it's right. Should be a nice creamy consistency, as you see here. And now we're ready to go ahead and start staining and glazing our restoration. So after thoroughly mixing, we'll place some of our glaze material directly onto our tray. And you can see I've already placed some of the A shade directly onto the tray, and what we're going to do is mix some of that glaze material into the A stain. And we'll place some more glaze material there that will keep clean for the rest of our restoration. So as you saw from the photograph, we shaded this restoration as A2, and when you look at it in comparison to the shade guide, we see we have a very, very good match. We've got a good incisal and dentin blend, and when we get this kind of shade result from our sintering process, then our stain and glaze process gets very, very simple. So we're not going to be trying to achieve our A2 color in the stain and glaze. We're simply going to be enhancing certain areas of the restoration, like interproximal or occlusal, with some additional chroma where desired, just like we would with a normal built-up restoration. And we're going to be layering the rest of the restoration with our glaze material. So in order to achieve this is the one-step technique. When we get a shade that's that close, again, we have our glaze paste here, and we've taken a little bit of the A stain and mixed that with the glaze paste so that we can incorporate this color into the glaze mixture in one firing. And then we have our straight glaze paste here without any pigment in it whatsoever. So again, we using a small brush, pick up the material, starting at the incisal edge of the restoration and applying it in nice, even, smooth strokes. material should go on in a rather thin coat, and what you'll notice is as you put it on, the material will flow, leaving you with a nice smooth surface. Being careful not to apply too much material so that we end up with large amounts of material in one area. And we'll cover all surfaces of the teeth in a similar manner. Occlusally, we start from the central fossa and work our way out towards the cusp tips. Making sure to cover all aspects of the anatomy. Then I like to clean the brush thoroughly, and as a last step, just go through the central fossas, pits and fissures to make sure there's no excess material that's gathered there. Make sure that the material doesn't end up filling up any of our detailed anatomy. Okay, once the restoration has been fully covered with the glazed material, I will take some of the glazed material that has the shade stain in it, in this case the A shade, and wherever I would like to add some additional chroma saturation, perhaps in the interproximal area, then I can work this saturated glazed material into those areas. So we're just enhancing the colors that are already there, creating a little bit more chroma in an area like the interproximal. This can be done anywhere on the restoration that you feel you'd like to have a little extra color, including the occlusal itself if that's desired. Also, with respect to any kind of brown pits and fissure staining you would like to do, now would be the time to do that with the brown stain of your choice, just adding a little bit of enhancement in the pits and fissure areas, working it right into the glazed material. Lastly, if there's any enhancements we'd like to make with a white stain on the cusp tips, marginal ridges, facial aspects, any kind of reproduction of calcification, we can do that with the white. And we would just pick up some very small amounts of the white material and enhance a cusp tip here, enhancing a cusp tip there, working along the marginal ridges, or wherever we would like to see a little bit of a white, frosty white look to the cusp tips or marginal ridges. And of course the same can be done anywhere else on the crown, on the facial, or other aspects.